Hello. Thank you for making time to watch this presentation. My name is Jessica Armstrong, and I am the recruitment coordinator for UAF eCampus. So that's University of Alaska Fairbanks, our eCampus. And today I have the opportunity to talk to you about things to consider when you're considering an online degree program. So trying to help you think about some of the questions to ask and giving some tips for success with online learning. So according to US News World Report, 5.5 million students took an online course in 2017. So that's pre-pandemic. And 2.2 million of those folks were enrolled in an exclusively online degree program. And that number has just increased. And the quality, one of the things that came out of the pandemic, I feel like, is that the quality of online learning and online student support has really increased. And so I think this is a really good time to be considering a fully online degree because universities had to invest a lot of resources into being ready for online students. So, and I'm sure many of you learned online during the pandemic and had a variety of experiences, good and bad, with that. And so so some things that I think are important to consider if you're thinking about an online program is, how do you learn best? Are you a visual learner? Do you learn by watching lectures? Do you do better with reading by yourself and just kind of learning that way? Some people are very physical learners, that they need to do things with their hands. And some people can be very social learners, where other people prefer to learn alone and like a quiet space to focus in. So thinking about what you need to be successful when you are studying and learning is really important, because you want to make sure that the online program you find, if you choose to learn online, meets your needs. Another question to consider is, how much social interaction would you like to have with other students and with your professors? Do you prefer to have a very interactive experience, or would you rather just be able to watch lectures at your own pace? And do you want to be able to take a mix of online and in-person classes? Some schools will allow you to do that, and other schools you pick one and you have to stick with whichever one you picked with. And the last question I think that's important to consider is, does the career that you're hoping to do when you finish require that you have hands-on experience, or are you planning on going on to graduate school? And so we'll talk about some of those challenges and that can present themselves for online learning and some of the ways to get around that. But I think it's important just to think about what you need as you're approaching an online program to make sure that it will offer what you need in the long term. So here's some things that I think make a good online program. And really, this first one is true for both in-person and online courses, that students need to have support from faculty and staff, whether they're learning online or if they're learning on campus. And so you need to know that you have people there to support you with tech support and financial aid and all those pieces, because you're going to need help along the way. And so checking what sort of student support is available for you is going to be important. This is probably the one I think that is the most important, is that the online experience has been designed for remote students. It's not just a recorded lecture that you're watching that the faculty did with students earlier in the week. You want something that they've intentionally designed it for online learning. And so some universities have like instructional design departments that help faculty build their classes for online. Some of them have specialists that's their whole job, is designing those classes. And if you can get into a situation like that, you're going to have a better online experience than just a recorded class that they're really teaching in person, but just recording it and you get to watch it. It's okay to have that sometimes, but that's not the best online experience for students. Some programs will be very flexible with like how many credits you can take every semester and switching between online and in person. So figuring out, so having a program that has some flexibility is good. if there are opportunities for networking and social interaction, I think that's really important. So online student clubs and events that you can watch, like Zoom lectures, or be part of discussion groups or study groups. Do they have any like Circle In or something like that that is an online study group program that you can do? Also, are there like virtual career fairs, and how much interaction is there like through with the faculty and with fellow students in your class? So I think having more social opportunities is going to be really valuable. It's going to keep you engaged. Of course, accreditation is important for any program, and just, you know, having a credible program, and part of that is accreditation. So a lot of schools will accept transfer credits from regionally accredited schools. So that's most state and public schools. Nonprofits often. Just be careful with, if you do plan on like transferring your credits at any point, be careful with some of the private for-profit schools, because they don't always have the same accreditation. And so just check in that and make sure that wherever you choose, your credits will be transferable, because you never know what the future is going to bring. You may want to go on to grad school, or you may want to start with like an associate's and move into a bachelor's or something like that. So thinking about accreditation is important. And the last thing I think that makes a good online program, and this is a little bit counterintuitive, is sometimes synchronous components are really good. Like, so synchronous means that they have a set time to them. And some students really like to have a video, like a Zoom session with their class, you know, and then they have some parts of the class they do by themselves. Some students, that's the way they want to learn. Other students want something that they can just work on sometime during the week, and they don't have to be on at a certain time. So thinking about what works for you and what your needs are is really important here. So here's my opinions of why to choose online. Why I see a lot of students who choose to learn online is because you can do a degree without ever coming to campus. So we have students in Colorado and Korea, all over the world, who are doing our programs fully online with UAF. And so never having to come to campus is really nice. And you don't have to come to campus every day for your classes. So you can sit in your pajamas and do your classwork, which is really nice too. For some students, you know, it depends on what experience you're looking for. The opportunity to take classes on a schedule that's more flexible. So some students work or have busy family lives, and they need a little bit more flexibility, or they just know that they learn best at 2 p.m, not 8 o'clock in the morning. And online classes will allow you to have more flexibility in your schedule. Costs may be different. So like at UAF, we have in-state tuition, and a lot of online schools, or a lot of schools that offer online classes, do the same thing. Not all of them, so just check on that. It can be a great way to save some money. We even have students who live in the dorms who are taking online classes to save money, because you get the resident tuition fee when you're taking e-campus classes at UAF. So I think the last thing is, like, all you need is an internet connection. So you can be traveling and do your classwork. You could do a road trip around the whole US and do your classwork, you know, from a hotel room or whatever. And so it's kind of nice. It's a little bit liberating, but you do need to still devote enough time to your classwork. And we'll talk about that in a little bit here. Here's some misconceptions that I hear and see in students. A lot of students feel like they're going to have an easier time with online learning, or that the quality is going to be lower. And that's not necessarily true. Like I said, a lot of schools use instructional design teams that specifically help the faculty design their classes to be high quality, to have the same experiences that an on-campus student would have. Some students feel like it might be easier to cheat in an online program. And I mean, we all have the internet right in front of us. You can Google anything you want, but a lot of times the online programs will use proctored tests, so that you have somebody watching you take the test, either virtually or that you go into a testing center locally. And so it probably won't be easier to cheat necessarily with an online program. And I think that easier to cheat leads people to feel like online degree programs can be just diploma mills, because they feel like the classes are going to be easier and you're not really learning anything. And I think that depends on the program. to be honest. Like, I think that if you're not in the right program for you and what you need and what you're trying to learn, they could be kind of that way. So it does take research on your part when you're picking an online program to make sure you're in the right one. Online programs take just as much time for studying often as face-to-face programs, because like with a face-to-face program, you spend 3 hours in class every week, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday for an hour. And then you also go home and do homework and you study and everything else. You should expect the same with an online program, and some classes will be easier, some classes will be harder, just like in-person classes. But just make sure that you don't think that, oh, I'm just going to go and do that for like an hour a week and that's going to be enough. It's not. If you're taking a 3-credit class, it's going to be like 3 to 4 hours per credit per week. And so a 3-credit class, that's like 10 hours a week. So it's just like an in-person class. No time limit for completing a class or degree. So some classes are self-paced, some classes run on the semester system, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But most degrees do have a time limit. Like at UAF, it's a 7-year time limit, so it's plenty of time. But there is a limit to the amount of time you have to do it. It's not something that you can just take one class here, one class there. There usually are not issues with transferring online classes as long as it's from a regionally accredited school. Sorry about that. So that's why I said accreditation is so important. Plus, you want a good education. If you're going to spend the time and money doing it, you want to get a good education out of it. But usually there's not issues, especially with general education classes, with transferring. Interaction with faculty and other students. There's a lot of ways faculty build that stuff in, and we'll talk about like more of that as we go through. But there's also discussion boards, student groups, things like that. So there are often a lot of opportunities. It depends on the program. You don't have to teach yourself. There's usually going to be lectures posted, there's readings, there's discussion boards, things like that. A lot of people feel a little bit intimidated by taking online classes. You guys are probably used to it now because of COVID, and you don't have to be a tech wizard to succeed at online classes. Like at UAF, we use Google Classroom. Like it depends on what the faculty want to do. Google Classroom, Canvas, Blackboard. So you will learn multiple platforms probably with taking online classes, but there's a lot of tech support. There's always going to be somebody there, hopefully, whatever school you choose, to help you figure out what's going on, what you need to do. And so I guess as long as you're not afraid of computers and you're not really uncomfortable with computers, you can succeed, because there should be some support for you along the way from whatever school you pick. So here's some questions that I hear and questions that I think are important to know as you're going into the online program. So synchronous, like I talked about before, that means that there's a set time that you have to be sitting in front of your computer. So knowing whether there are any synchronous components, and it's not a good or a bad, it's whatever you need, but making sure you know what to expect. Knowing whether the classes are going to be self-paced or in an accelerated pace, or if they run on the traditional semester system. For our school, most of the classes run on the 15, 16 week semester system. And so knowing that will help you plan. Some schools do 9-week sessions, and some are completely self-paced. So knowing how much flexibility there is, both with the number of credits you take every semester, because maybe like over summer, you don't want to be a full-time student, you want to be able to enjoy the summer, but then during fall and spring, you want to take a full load of classes, or maybe a little bit extra to make up for those summer classes. And you don't have to take summer classes. Some students do to try to get through faster. Let's see. So any requirement to come to campus at any time. And I'll show you some examples later, but some schools, it is that you do all of your coursework online, but then they have you come for intensives during the summer for like 1 to 2 weeks. So you get your labs done, that sort of thing. So knowing if that's a requirement at any time, just again, so you can plan. Some of them have like an annual requirement to do that. Will your diploma say that it was earned online? So like there's some schools that are the online learning is separate. So like Penn State Global, that imply like if the degree says Penn State Global, then that implies that it's an online program. Where if it's like Oregon State University and it doesn't say online, then that may matter whether you're applying for graduate schools or stuff like that down the road. So just think about that. It's and often your transcripts will say that they were earned online or not. And so when you're, and that's not necessarily bad with the transcripts as much as like if your diploma says online, sometimes that is perceived as a lower quality program. Again, can you switch between on campus and online, or is it a completely separate program like what I was just describing? Some schools, there's not that option because it's a completely different program when it's online. So knowing whether the coursework is the same for online and on campus is also important. What's the faculty's expected response time? Usually universities say we want faculty to respond, pardon me, in 24, 48 hours or something like that. So knowing what that is good so that you know, yeah, faculty are going to be really responsive at this school or more responsive at this school. Knowing whether books or fees are included in the cost. And some schools roll that all together and they give you one price. CSU Global does that. Some schools like at UAF, it's all separate. So you have to kind of put it all together when you're trying to compare costs between programs. I keep talking about accreditation. It's because it's really important. Make sure that you've got regional accreditation with the schools you're considering. Knowing what kind of student support is available and what hours they're open. I'm sorry, our lights just turned off. I think that'll be okay though. Knowing what hours they're open. So like, is there 24/7 tech support, financial aid advising, and sometimes even tutoring, career placement, those might be on like an 8 to 5 sort of schedule. So knowing whether that's going to work for your time zone. You know, if you're in Denver and you're studying in Fairbanks, or you're doing an online program in Fairbanks, we're 2 hours behind you. So knowing that and factoring that in is going to be valuable, like as you're considering things. How do labs work? Will you have the 1 week intensive? Will you do simulations? Will you buy a lab kit when you're buying your books? How are their science classes going to be conducted? Those are important things to know depending on what program you go into. Okay, these are some experiences I feel like can be more challenging for online students, and some suggestions for how to overcome that, because I think most of them are surmountable. Building your network. That is something that is important for any college student. That's part of why I think students go to college. You're building your professional network, you're building relationships with other students and with faculty that you may have for years. Like I did my bachelor's degree here at UAF. I transferred from Red Rocks Community College in Lakewood, did my bachelor's degree here. I got involved in hands-on research. I went on and did a master's degree because I had built relationships along the way. And that's part of doing a bachelor's degree. And for online students, that can be a lot more challenging because you're not every day seeing your fellow students, and you're not every day seeing your faculty. So I think that seeing what student clubs are available for online students so you can build your student network, going to professional society meetings, like I said, I did biology when I did my bachelor's. And so I went to meetings, the biological society meetings, and, you know, attended talks and talked to faculty from other schools, just learning who the community is and who the important people in the community are. Seeing what sort of career services are available for online students, like are there virtual career fairs? Are there virtual connections, you know, like a virtual community for the students? And like we use Circle In, which is a study group app that it's not an app. Well, I guess it is an app, but it allows students to do help each other virtually. And so it's like, if you're in this biology class and you have a question, you post it and other students in the class who know the answer can help with that. And the faculty can log in to make sure that like the information's correct and stuff like that. Some of them give extra credit for students who are posting and helping each other, but it's, if programs like Circle In help students to make connections with each other and form their own study groups and form their own support. So that can be really helpful for students. Hands-on experience. if you want to go into grad school, if you want to go into research, there's a lot of fields where you do need to have gotten some hands-on experience, especially in the sciences or engineering. And so are there local employers in your area that maybe you could get a student job with or some volunteer experience with to help you to have that for your resume as you're applying for jobs, or if you want to go into grad school? So like Fish and Wildlife Service, national parks, a lot of them have student positions that they hire students for, and you can only have the student or the job if you're a student. And so there's value to checking on that, especially if you do an online program. And I recommend that even if you don't do an online program, choose to do face-to-face, getting some of those experiences will make you more employable once you graduate. Let's see, finding study partners. So I should have put this up top. Yeah, Circle and I already talked about, and discussion boards too. A lot of online classes will use discussion boards. That's often part of your participation points. And so making sure that you participate enough and that you can meet each other, and you can form your own network with that. So I think one of the bigger actual challenges for online students is getting good letters of recommendation for employment or for graduate school, because you don't see your faculty every day. You don't have that really easy opportunity to build the relationships with them. And so it's going to take a little bit more work on your part if you choose to do an online program to make that connection. So going to their office hours, talking about your interests and getting career advice from them, making sure you stand out a little bit to them. And that also goes for a face-to-face program. If you're hoping to get letters of recommendation, you've got to stand out a little bit to them, because often they're big lecture halls and they don't get to see you individually as a person. So whether you're online or face-to-face, sometimes you have to work a little harder to make a good connection with your faculty, but it's worth your time to do it. Let's see, a few things I feel like make it online learners successful is probably the main one is persistence. So your ability to push through difficult times and to keep working forward, keep moving forward. And part of that's like your motivation and your independence, like that you're gonna succeed whatever it takes. And I think that online learners need a little bit more persistence maybe than face-to-face learners. You have to have good time management skills, and you won't have faculty like when you're in an on-campus class. You see them every day. So they're saying, hey, don't forget that assignment's due on Tuesday. And you get more reminders from them. With an online class, that's you figuring that out and you remembering that. If the school you choose uses Canvas, that's a learning platform where the classes are held, and that the classes can all be added to your calendar together. And so like if you're in 4 Canvas classes, it will show when all your assignments are due for all your classes in one place, which is really nice. I don't think Blackboard does that. And if you're like at UAF, we use both. So only your Canvas ones would appear. But I guess even if you don't have something like that, using a planner or a calendar so that you know when your tests are, when your assignments are due, especially big projects, will be important as you go through. I think that a good study environment can't be overrated. Having a quiet space where you sit and work on your classes, not on the couch with the TV going and everything else, because you need to have that focus space. And I have a friend who she has a light that she turns on at her desk. And when that light is on, she's studying and she's working and she's in her class in her mind. And then when she's done for that, she turns that light off and then she's done with her class. So it helps her to say, okay, this is my learning time. This is my learning space. If you're taking lab classes, you may need to have a special space set up in your kitchen or somewhere like that where you can work with chemicals. And so knowing how you're going to work that out too is going to be important. Normally, like for our lab classes, any of the chemicals you get are safe to use in your home. They've been designed specially for that. But just we do want you to have a special space where you do that. Not, okay, I'm going to do all these lab experiments and then eat dinner right at that same spot. Like have a clean area that you use for that. Checking your emails a lot, whether you're on campus or in person or online. Check your emails, because that's the way most faculty will communicate with you. I know that a lot of students don't like to check their emails, but and when you do reach out to faculty using full sentences, telling them what class you're in, because a lot of them teach multiple classes, and addressing them like dear professor or something like that, and with full sentences, like proper communication is going to be important. Basic tech skills, we already talked about that. If you're stressed out by technology, you can get comfortable with it, but it will make it a little bit more challenging for you is all. So tips for success, whether you're learning online or on campus, is start working your classes right away. Don't leave points on the table. So if you have an assignment, turning everything in on time, making sure that you're not cutting corners, because you never know when you're going to need those extra points down the road. And extra credit, stuff like that, always taking advantage of those opportunities, because you may need that cushion at some point. It may make the difference between you getting a B and an A, or passing or failing the class. College classes are not going to be self-paced. They're going to move faster probably than a lot of the high school classes you may have been in. And so just being ready for that extra pace is going to be good. Using a calendar to keep track of your assignments, I already talked about that. Staying on top of deadlines. Read your syllabus so that you know what the schedule is, and ask questions if you don't understand. And that goes face-to-face or on campus especially. If you don't understand what's expected of you, then it's hard for you to perform like up to expectations. And your syllabus is kind of your contract between your teacher and you. And so it tells you when assignments are due, what the grade, how to achieve which grade you're interested in trying for. And it will also break down their expectations for you. And that's their agreement with you that if you do X, Y, and Z, this is what you're going to do in the class. Always contact your instructor if you don't understand something, or if you're having trouble accessing part of your course or understanding whatever it is. They have usually office hours, so you can go in, and that's why they have the office hours, is to make time to help you succeed in your class. They're there to help you succeed. But if they don't know you're struggling, they can't help you. And so I did include a couple of examples. So I just kind of looked at a few different schools and pulled out some language that, like, as you're doing your search for an online program, some things that stand out to me, that like hot words, I guess, or hot phrases that I would look for. So whether it's asynchronous, whether there are synchronous components, like some of our classes, they do have like optional weekly meetings, or there are times you have to meet with the instructor. So seeing whether that's going to be a requirement. Virtual events, SHNU, they have a connect community for online students, which I thought was really cool. So they have online clubs and career guidance, different stuff like that, lots of peers who are involved in that SHNU Connect. So that stood out to me as something like, ooh, this would be good for students who want to have a more connected experience. Virtual career fairs, I think, are super important. This tells you about reading your syllabus. We just talked about that. For Emory-Riddle, they have multiple start dates for their classes. So they don't run on like the full semester system like UAF does. They have 10 different terms that have 9-week sessions. So you can start at any time during those. So knowing what you need, maybe you know that you want to take a month off in June. And so then you're only missing one session versus if you take the entire summer off. So knowing about your options, like virtual community, those are words I look for. E-union, that's going to be an online student union. Hello, Kathy, how are you? Well, I was just giving my spiel because I thought it was being recorded, so maybe it would be useful for students to have.
Absolutely, and she will edit this interruption out.
Okay.
And please go ahead. And
Okay.
this is really important, so thank you. And I do, I'm checking in with every workshop, and I will tell her in my notes that I interrupted yours And
Okay.
if she could, you go ahead and continue, and they will have it. And again, we have this afternoon also.
Well,
So-
that's what I was going to ask is should I give my presentation both times if there's no students?
Yes, especially since I interrupted this one.
Okay.
I apologize, but I will tell her right now, I interrupted online and she should edit it.
Okay.
That's why I didn't come on with camera and voice in the beginning.
Yeah. And I just thought, well, you know, they've got so many to pick from that maybe having this to watch later on would be useful.
And we'll use it in our teaching. And I do a counselor colloquium for all the counselors of the Western Slope. And this is a question that came from them.
Oh, good.
And we still go to college and go online.
Good.
And I said, yes, in these times, we have places that are really good at this.
Yeah, that have been doing it a while. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's
Yes,
great. I'm
this
sorry
is-
that you couldn't do it in person because I love coming to your fair.
Well, we will next year. We are committed. And to be honest, she'll edit this all out. We got pressure from the county because we have 3,000 people with their parents and educators and community people. They kind of make it a day event and bring the kids and, you know, push baby carriages and everything because it's the largest event we have in town. It's free and it's really fun for people to partake in. And the truth is, they said we couldn't bring people from outside the county because we're very highly vaccinated and all the surrounding counties of ours are not.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
they just said, even though things are quieting down, we're at the fringe of the flu season and the fringe of this finally quieting down. And they didn't want us to be perceived as a spreader event.
Yeah. And I mean, bringing people from all over the country just exposes your kids to so much risk. I
And-
was kind of relieved for you guys that you did that because they're going back to small communities that might not have a lot of healthcare.
You-
And like we have that in Alaska. And so I have a lot of respect for that was, I'm sure, a very difficult choice because you guys put so much work into.
Oh, and we just switched this over 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. And,
So
and now
I
you had
really-
to double the work.
I redid the
It's
fair.
more work. Yeah.
I did 8 months of work on the fair, 8
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
And then everything, including the tent. I mean, we had the heaters and the poles. I mean, we were ready to go. Everything was ordered and, you know, frankly, deposited and everything else. And I just couldn't risk this wonderful 17-year-old event being perceived as a negative thing in our region.
Yeah.
So I just had to go this way. We probably lost half our participants this
Oh,
way.
yeah.
But I will tell you, I really think we did the right thing. And guess what? You know, next year in Jerusalem, we're going to be fine. We're going to meet again. And I wanted to keep the connection between the Western Slope and our colleges. I wanted to keep that fresh and alive. And, you know, we will use all these materials. I didn't, you know, to do this virtually, I had to triple my budget that I usually break even on the colleges entering and my bill with our purveyor to do this. But because we had to do this, so all my sponsors stepped up and did it with me because they didn't want to lose this wonderful connection. So, you know, we will see you in person next year. We'll
That sounds
double the
good.
parties. We'll make it really fabulous. And we'll just make it a great weekend and we'll look forward to seeing you.
Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing you two next year. And thank you so much for all the work you put into this. I know you're so passionate about it. and
Oh, I
it's-
am. And I'll see you in your room. I'm dropping into every room in 2 hours. Do you think
Okay.
I can do it?
I don't. How many rooms do you have? How many schools do you have?
214.
Oh, I have somebody in the waiting room, so I'm going to let him in. So
Oh,
it was nice
bye.
talking to you, Kathy. Take care. Hi, Denisha. Oh, it looks like you're connecting. How are you, Denisha? My name's Jessica Armstrong. I'm from UAFE campus.
Hi, Jessica. I'm good. Just was having issues with trying to get on here.
Oh, I'm glad you made it on.
Yes,
What school are you from?
I'm from the University of Colorado, Denver.
Oh, nice. Very nice. So
Yes.
you're admissions?
I am.
Oh, good, good. And do you guys have a online program?
We do
Okay.
fully online degree programs.
Yeah, so do we at UAF. And I just wanted to give students some advice for like things to look for as they're looking at schools' websites and things to think about if they are thinking about doing an online program, because there's a lot of challenges, you know. It's
Nice.
hard to know what you're getting into, I think
That's
sometimes.
true. That's so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. So are you having a good day so far?
I am.
Good, good. Are you guys giving a presentation too, a workshop?
Well, I think I was supposed to be on this same workshop with you,
Oh, okay.
but I was having difficulties with signing in at 10 o'clock. I think my work Zoom had some type of restriction, so I wasn't able to log on.
Oh, okay.
So I just now logged on here because they
Okay.
sent me another link.
Okay. Well, they didn't tell me I was gonna have a partner, but I'm happy to have a partner. Do you have any slides that you want to go through if we do have any students?
Well, I did, but
Okay. Well,
I
what
don't
we
know
could,
if I'm able to share from my.
yeah, I think I maybe need to stop sharing and then you can share. So we'll do this. Are you doing it again at in 2 hours? I guess it's at
Yes.
1 o'clock Colorado time. I'm
am.
in Alaska,
Yes.
so my time zone's different.
Oh, okay.
So maybe we can strategize because they are recording this one right now.
Okay.
And so I can just let Kathy know, don't use the one from 10 because, you know, we're having this conversation and there wasn't any students anyway.
Oh, okay.
And then, and Kathy and I were just chatting, actually, she had popped in. So I can let her know, don't use the early one, use the later one because it'll have both
Okay.
you and I in there.
Okay.
And so do you want to, so I could just tell you real quick what I was going to do, and then you can tell me what you were going to do and we can see how we want to
Okay.
integrate. So I was,
Okay.
my slides, I don't have that many. I was just talking about kind of things to think about, like learning style for students, what I feel like makes a good online program, why I think online is good for some students. I know it's not for everyone. Some misconceptions, and then questions to ask schools. And then I think some of the challenges that students can find more, I think students can find more challenging when they learn online, but ways, some just suggestions for overcoming that.
Okay.
And success tips. And then I had just looked at a few different online programs and kind of pulled out some of the language that I was like, well, these are things to look for. It's like SHU Connect has virtual clubs and, you know, a whole network of peers, stuff like that. North Dakota actually requires a couple of weeks on campus. So knowing that going into it is good, you know. So that's all I was going to do really. And then tell them to fill out the RFIs on pages so that they could get more information. So that was pretty much all I was going to do. What were you thinking about?
Well, I was just going to tell folks about the online programs that we have at our institution. I didn't really know like what the session was supposed to entail, but I was just, let me see, my slides basically just show, like I was going to talk about why an online degree, but if you're talking about that, then I don't have to include that.
It would be interesting to see what you would say to people too,
okay.
though.
Okay.
So yeah, we could both do it.
Okay.
If you're okay with that.
Fully online. And then I was just going to talk about our degree programs because we have fully online degree programs and also certificate programs that they can do. And they have those programs, they can do bachelor's, master's, doctorate, and certificate programs with our online programs. So I was going to talk about that. And then I was just going to tell them, I don't know, do you think it'll be effective to tell them how to apply, or that's not really something that we need to talk about? And then I was going to tell them how they pay for college, just talk about maybe kind of like the tuition process as far as being an online student. They don't have to pay for student fees and some of the additional costs that a regular on-campus student would have to pay for.
So you could talk about any of that.
Okay.
And so I wasn't going into like my specific spiel. I was making it more
Okay.
general, but we could do like a couple of minutes of our specific spiels as well.
Okay.
You know, if here's 2 programs, here's information about each of those, and then here's
Okay.
stuff to think about for, you know, questions to ask other programs.
Because I don't
definitely do
even,
that.
because I don't even have to go into that. I could just say like, there's fully online degree programs and certificates where you can actually complete like your bachelor's, master's, doctorate, and then also do the certificate degrees, and then maybe just name a couple of options, like if you want to go into business or if you want to go into cybersecurity management. They have certifications for those, and I don't even have to make it like school specific. I can just keep it general. And then I think I'm going to take out that how to apply. And then for paying for college, I was just going to say like they basically have to fill out the FAFSA. There are scholarship opportunities available at the institutions that they're looking at going into. So they would just need to contact that institution to find out what type of scholarship opportunities are available. And then I was going to talk about the COF, the College Opportunity Fund. That's always also a good way to save money if you're a Colorado resident as
Oh, nice.
well.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about talking about that, and
Mhm.
then just providing our online, because I'm not the person that actually covers the online degree program. So they actually have a whole team that does everything. We just refer students over to them and they meet with everybody.
That's me
and
too.
just basically,
I'm that person that our school sends people to.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I would rather keep it more general. So then that way, if the students are on and they have questions, then I don't have to worry about, answering more of those specific questions that they may have.
Kathy said that, so they're recording all of these and then they're going to have them as a reference for students to get to, that students, can
So
watch later on.
Okay, so will it be more kind of like just like a webinar where they have us recorded on this information and then
They're recording this one now and they'll record
Okay.
the next one too. And so
Okay.
that's why I was like, oh, let's make a plan. And then when we do the next
Yes.
one, and
Okay.
so they'll record it. And then she said they'll share it with advisors and with the students, because the students had like 50 different sessions they could pick from. And that
Okay.
would be hard as a student. Like you have 2 that you're going to get to pick for the whole day.
Yeah.
So I think that your ideas of including financial aid stuff and all of that are terrific. I think that's going to be
Okay.
really good for students.
Okay.
So do you want me to, I think we could pick whichever one of us to go first, and then like
Okay.
the other one will stop sharing and then I could give it over to you. Like if I went first and did my quick thing and then turn it over to you to talk more about and you said it's Colorado, you're not Colorado State, you're.
No, I'm University of Colorado, Denver.
Okay,
CU Denver.
nice. I had a friend who graduated from there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Nice.
grew up in Colorado. I went to Red Rocks Community College and then moved up
Oh,
here.
okay. Okay.
Yeah. So University of Colorado, Denver.
Yes.
I'm just gonna
Yeah,
write it
so
down.
I will keep mine general. I'll just go through and because I have time to go in and make those changes. So I'll just go in and make the changes and just leave mine general instead of focusing on CU Denver.
Okay.
I'll just say these are some of the different programs that you probably can complete online at many of the institutions. And then I'll just leave it general where it's not
Okay.
talking directly about my school.
Yeah, I wasn't sure like what
I wasn't either.
which to take, which tack to take. And then so is it okay with you if I go through kind of some of the considering a degree program questions, and then you can talk about the financial aid and like general other, because I wasn't going to talk about different degrees, but I think you're right that it's a good idea to do that, like to talk about some of the degrees you often see online.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll is that okay with you if I go first and then give it over to you?
Sure.
Okay.
That's fine.
Is Denisha the right way to pronounce your name?
Denisha.
Denisha, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
You probably have it all the time too. Okay. Okay, Denisha. And so And do you have the link for this afternoon's session?
I do. I do
Okay.
have the link, but
Okay.
hopefully, I wonder if I'm gonna have to get back on my phone. Do you know if I should just possibly send you the link?
Well, that's why I was wondering, should I just forward you the link that I have?
Well, they sent me the link, but I think I'm gonna have to do it on my phone. So I don't know. Let me
Oh,
see.
you mean for your presentation? Yeah, if you want to send
Yes.
me, yeah, is it in Google? I'm sorry, I'm a little oblivious. Is
I
that
was-
what you had to do, is log in on your phone?
I did, because I was
Mm.
trying to do it on my laptop, and it
Mhm.
was saying that I guess it was restricting me due to my sign in or something for UC
Okay.
Denver. And
Yeah,
so he told me just to go on my phone and see if it would work that way. So I just went on my phone and logged in.
that's my email address if you want to try sending your slides to me, or share, or you could
Okay.
just share them with
Because I
me.
think you were on the one that they sent. Because I sent you an email earlier. I don't know if you got it. But when I couldn't get on, I sent you an email to see if your links were working.
Hmm. Oh, there, I see it.
So did it come through?
It did, yeah. So
Okay.
you have mine. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I'm just, using a part of my screen share there. So
Okay.
I could do the same thing with yours, is just have yours open and have it sized for yours.
Okay. That
Um,
would be great.
yeah. If that works for you, that works great for me. And I'll just
Okay.
shorten mine up, because mine was about a half hour, because they didn't tell me that there was a partner, which makes me excited. It's nice to have a partner. I'm not like, it was a bit awkward. So I was going through my spiel, because I'm like, oh, they're recording it. I better just go ahead and do it. And I was like a half hour in, and I'm like, this is so weird,
I know.
Yeah, but I'll let Kathy know too. I'll send her an
Okay.
email really quick. Just say, don't use the one for the morning. Use the one for the afternoon, because it'll have both of us in there.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds great. Denicia, did I say it right?
Yes, you
Okay,
did.
good. Okay, good. And so then I'll see you in about 2 hours.
Okay.
But
See
should I
you
make
then.
sure that I got your email first? Yes,
Yes.
we could do that. Let me stop sharing. Or did you already share your slides with me?
No, because I was
Okay.
gonna go in there and generalize them,
Okay.
because I have
Okay.
it all based on CU Denver stuff.
Well, you
So
can talk
once
about
I-
whatever you want. I guess it's up to you, if you want to. I thought we were supposed to be general, but it's okay if you want to talk.
Well, see, I didn't
Specifically
really
about
know
your own
what we
school.
were doing. All she told me was that we had a workshop talking about online programs. And she was like, and if you want to talk about your programs and how you guys been doing it. And I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Because I could
but I
certainly
can
add a
generalize
slide
it.
about eCampus, and talk about UAF's online programs too, if we wanted to each be able to talk about ours.
Okay.
That's okay with me. Either way is okay with me.
Okay. I'm
You
good
think
either
we should
way.
you think we should talk about our own specifics?
Yeah, I think we should share our own specifics about our programs with the students.
Okay.
Because I
Then
think,
I will.
because then that way, if they're looking at programs, they're like, okay, well, we saw their presentation. And, I think that's a good opportunity, since we're doing the presentation, to promote our programs as well.
Okay. I will follow your lead on that, because I just wasn't sure,
Yes.
I just want to be a good kid and do the right
Yes.
thing. I'm a rule follower.
Well, see, that's what I said too, because when I saw yours, I was like, oh no, mine is too specific.
No, I think it's fine. I think I just wanted to err on the side of caution instead of, getting in trouble.
Okay.
Because
Yes.
this is, to be honest, like, I've been doing recruiting for several years, but I don't normally do workshops. I do, I just go to the
Oh.
fairs. And so this is the
Okay.
first workshop I've ever done. So I really wasn't sure, like, how much you pump your own program normally with,
Yes.
okay, so that'll be great. We'll each pump our own. So I'll go through the general stuff, and then I'll turn it over to you, and you'll go through your programs and
Okay.
financial aid, and if you want to talk generally about like the applying for school process, that might be helpful too, because
Okay.
I wasn't going to talk about that stuff at all, but maybe if you have anything you want to add for that.
Okay. Should I just talk about the online application?
Is it different for your school?
It is.
Okay, sure, if you want to. Like for us,
Okay.
it's the same, and students just say, that they want to do online or in person. And so for your school, can students choose or switch in between? Or do they pick one and they have to stick with it?
Usually when they pick one, they have to stick with it, I believe.
Okay, because ours, it's the same as the face-to-face. We have a lot of students who do online classes who live here, even in the dorms, you know, and they're just
Okay.
saving money by taking online classes, or it works better for their schedule. So I think that's nice, actually, to have the contrast of that
Yes.
your program they pick and they stick with it. Yours is more of an online, like it's a full online program.
Mhm.
Ours, you can do online, but you don't have to stick with online with ours.
Okay.
So I think that's valuable to have both of those.
So we
Yeah.
have both, where either they can do fully online, or they can, if they just sign up as a regular degree seeking student doing the regular application process, they can actually still take online classes. And it's
Okay.
not like a limit on the amount of online classes that they have to take. So
Okay. Yeah. So they can flex with one of them. Yeah.
yes.
So yeah, I think talking about the way that you guys do that, I think that would be good. Just to see, kind of compare and contrast.
Yes.
How two different online programs are, and then things, and you'll hear my whole spiel. So if there's things you think that you want to add, you can
Okay.
totally do that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, I look
I'll
forward to
definitely do
talking
that.
with you, or
Okay.
doing the workshop with you in a couple hours, and I will email
Okay.
Kathy as soon as we get off here.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Take care. See you soon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.